right, everyone. So hopefully that kind of, was a good start to programming and P5, JS and that kind of stuff. So I have a couple of things I need you guys to do in terms of your homework. The first is I have two discussion questions that will be due next week, the 17th. The first is, okay, you guys in theory have now completed your first assignment one, the choose your own adventure. How was the process? Were you able to accomplish technically what you wanted to accomplish? It's okay if you didn't. I mean, we haven't really gotten that deep into web development, so obviously there's going to be hurdles, but like I'm just kind of interested. What happened? Were you able to get what you wanted? Yes, no, maybe so. Were there areas that you struggled with in terms of coding? Like you really wanted to do this, but you couldn't do it, or you didn't know what it was? Another thing I just kind of want to know, is there anything I could have done better to help you learn this process? I'm always looking to try to improve my teaching method and different ways of getting concepts across and that kind of stuff. So let me know in the discussion. The other one is, now that we're talking about programming specifically, like programming languages like JavaScript, Java, C Sharp, whatever, do you have any experience with programming languages? It's okay if you don't. I'm expecting most of you probably don't. But I'm just kind of interested to see, what the demographics of my students are. Some people have taken it. Sometimes it's like in high school, or, maybe you took like a intro class, like 3 years ago or something. I'm just kind of interested because if you're going to stay onto the interaction track, we are going to be using coding. Okay. You don't have to be a computer programmer, but you're going to run into it more and more. And so I just kind of want to know what experience you have. Maybe you do have some experience, or maybe this is like the very first time you've ever talked about concepts like functions and things like that. So I just kind of want to know what your experience is. Same thing, this will be due next week, which is the 17th by midnight. So both of these, please respond to those. I'm giving you guys a lab to work on, where you guys are going to, oops. Let me, the first is a Mr. Hurwitz type lab. You guys have done many of these labs before, where it's like, you follow along the instructions. This basically just goes over, what we did in class today. It goes over building canvases, working with arguments, adding shapes, adding colors, that kind of stuff. What I wanted, you guys are going to use the P5 editor for this. Okay. Eventually we will use Visual Studio Code, but we have to do a couple things first. And to share your work, what I would do is first, create an account. Once you create an account and you're logged in, what you can do is, when you have an item that's saved, you can then do what's called a share. Okay. So when you share, you're going to get these options, and I want this one at the very bottom that says edit. Oops. And you can copy that, or you can copy this URL. And then if you give me that URL, I can then, what that actually really does is, if you give someone that URL and they put it in, I can see all the code, okay, which is what I need to do. So what you guys are going to do is copy that URL, and then for the lab, when you guys turn it in, I can't show it to you because I haven't published it, but there'll be a place you can post the URL, and that's what you're going to do. Okay. The other thing, which is also going to be due next week, is this is a little bit more open-ended, which is that I want you to use P5 to create a composition. Okay. You're going to make a digital composition using code. Okay. So it's pretty open-ended. You can build whatever you want. It could be a snowman, a cat, whatever. I want you to use at least 10 shapes. You can use any shapes you want. That could be circles, squares, triangles, polygons, whatever. You're not required to use every single shape that I taught you. That just, it's just, but you need to use at least 10. So 10 lines of code, essentially. I want you guys to use color. one use of at least one use either as hexadecimal code color names or RGB. And I want there to be some form of text in the composition. And your composition should be a height and width of 500 by 500. Okay. So as long as you kind of do all of that, boom, 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 that's all you need to do to fulfill the requirements. To give you an idea of like, previous students' work. Oops. Shoot. Wow. All right. By the time I redo this, it'll be fixed. Okay. But I do have some students' work where it's like, you'll click and it's like people made, cats and dogs and that kind of stuff. Okay. And just like, so that'll be due, just like, you'll make a new composition from scratch. You'll use, I would put all your work inside of the setup, just like we talked about. And then, when you're done, save it and then do the share and give me the URL when you submit it. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or, you can come to my office hours on Friday. Okay.